Some have said you ought to have your head examined, and perhaps that's true. But seriously, my dedication to corrections and to this department really leaves me no choice but to do whatever I can to help the department, help the system, its employees, and the people of the state of Alabama to bring to this state as good a correctional system as our resources will allow. With the special session of the legislature convening, we're going to make an effort to get consideration through the governor's office for some relief, capital development funds for the department. I don't know what that will result in. I'm confident that it will be considered. This will also necessitate some work with the legislature, some communication on the part of our staff with them to bring to light the problems as best we know them, and I think we do know them, and try to engender their support. I'm confident that once this is done, that to what extent they can, the governor and the legislature will do all they can to support us. We need additional construction to build adequate housing for prisoners. We are in need of maximum security space, which we don't presently have. We need to build a maximum security facility that would accommodate somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 prisoners. Well, that needs to be built today, if possible. We do need additional facilities for medium security prisoners. And possibly down the line we will need, as we take in more total prisoners into the system, we will need additional space in community programs. We'll pursue all three of these different specific needs on a common front and try to get the housing for those type prisoners as soon as we can and as funding allows. We can do certain things through productivity on the part of our personnel, but when you get down to real bricks and mortar type problems, and that is just lack of physical space to house the people that have been adjudicated by the courts. Funding is the only answer for that. It takes money to build, and I think the people of the state of Alabama at some point in time, and I hope that time is forthcoming soon, are going to be faced with the prospect of a release of prisoners. I'm not saying the Board of Corrections is going to do it. I think it's a good possibility the court may order us to do that. We would be philosophically and professionally and as an agency opposed to any kind of release of prisoners who have not served their sentence and who are not prepared to go back out into society. If we were given unlimited funds, our capability to expend those funds, say within a fiscal year, would be somewhat limited, even capital development funds, operational funds also for that matter. We do need a responsible appropriation from the legislature on a program basis over a period of years with percentage increases programmed for, say, a 5-year plan or something on that basis in order for us to, in a reasonable way, plan and to expedite plans to solve the problems that we have. The people of Alabama weren't standing in line to offer us locations, as you know, and as they came forth, we accepted them as they came. The 3 that we have now selected, I fully intend to build upon, and we will expedite those plans. We hope to, I believe, have construction started in about 90 days on at least one of those, if not all of them.
At his first news conference, Commissioner Bennett said early release for large numbers of inmates and layoffs of prison workers may be forthcoming unless the state legislature appropriates adequate funds for Alabama's prison system, a system that is under several federal court orders.
We can do certain things through productivity on the part of our personnel, but when you get down to real bricks and mortar type problems, and that is just lack of physical space to house the people that have been adjudicated by the courts. Funding is the only answer for that. It takes money to build. And I think the people of the state of Alabama at some point in time, and I hope that time is forthcoming soon, are going to be faced with the prospect of a release of prisoners. I'm not saying the Board of Corrections is going to do it. I think it's a good possibility the court may order us to do that. We would be philosophically and professionally and as an agency opposed to any kind of release of prisoners who have not served their sentence and who are not prepared to go back out into society. In answer to your question, finally, without additional funding, I think that we're going to be faced with that, and again, as I say, the people of the state need to be aware of it.
The commissioner also said there are plans to reorganize the prison administrative operations, but he would not elaborate on what those plans are. Bennett also introduced the state's first black deputy prison commissioner, 40-year-old Andrew Cooper. The resident of Birmingham says he expects to be responsive to the problems of the prison system's 65% black inmate population.
When 65% of the inmates are black, and my appointment to this position is the first for black, and I'm certainly going to be sympathetic to the needs.
What was your position prior to this?
Prior to coming on board here, probation and parole officer with the city of Birmingham handling special projects. And before that, I was with the Department of Youth Services and Juvenile Corrections.
What kind of impact do you think you can have on the operation of Alabama's prison system as it relates to blacks?
That's a kind of a difficult question to answer.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, a loaded question. First of all, I have not been involved directly with the prison system, working on the local level with the county and city jails and realizing the problems there. I am somewhat familiar with the problems that have been related to me by inmates who've come out of the state system, and I am very cognizant of what the needs are, and I'm going to work very hard to change and to solve some of the problems in working with Mr. Bennett and the other commissioners. But I can't say specifically because as I said, yesterday was a surprise to me, and I'm kind of caught off balance. I'm still sort of in a daze trying to figure out what's going on.
What kind of input do you think you will have on the problems of white inmates?
Well, I've worked with most of the inmates that I've worked with in the city programs that I've been in have been white, and I've been very sympathetic to them. In fact, my phone rings at home day and night with problems that are related basically to white inmates.
One final question. Who got you the job?
Who got me the job?
Yeah.
I have no earthly idea.
On his first full day as Alabama's Commissioner of Prisons, Larry Bennett now runs a penal system that is overcrowded, needs money badly, and must follow court orders from Federal District Judge Frank Johnson of Montgomery. His predecessor, Judson Locke, faced the same set of problems for 3 years. Yesterday, he vacated the seat now occupied by Bennett, who says his dedication to the prison system prompted him to accept the job as commissioner. But Bennett offered no solution to the problems incurred by Locke. Bennett, like Judson Locke, has overcrowded prisons and not enough money to operate them. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News reporting.
Well, the reason why that we ordered Alabama Power to go ahead is because we have our order back from the circuit court, and we're going to abide by the order from circuit court. We don't really feel like that we need an additional hearing on this matter. It has been pending since 1975, and we feel like that it is time for these refunds to be made, and we are writing the order today, and hopefully it will be out before the afternoon is over.
Okay, when can the consumer expect to see the refunds?
Well, we're going to order the power company to begin them as soon as possible, and this possibly will be along the end of August. I feel like the bulk of the refund, though, will be felt in the September bills.
Okay, who will be the primary recipients of the refunds?
Well, you have to look back at really at what time of the year that this refund covers, and it is from October to April. So in this case, it is going to be the people who primarily have electric heat that will realize the most of the benefit. We have been trying to shake these refunds loose for a long time, and as soon as they get to the Southern Natural Gas Company, then they will in turn get these refunds to the Alabama Gas, and we will order it on to the customers. Now, this will be a refund in the neighborhood of $6 million. I have talked with the gas company in Andalusia today, and they are extremely interested in it also, as all the other systems are that get their gas from Southern Natural, but they'll have a refund somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 just for the Andalusia system. So you can see how anxious we've been for a long time, and I have called on some of our congressmen to help me with this matter, and they have come through. And so it looks like that within the next 2 weeks we may have an additional $6 million in gas refunds for the people of this state too. And remember this, that all of these refunds are stemming since 1975, so you can get an idea of how long it takes to really get something done on the Public Service Commission.
We feel that the schools should be opened for use by the citizens of the community who pay the taxes on those schools. And that's what Dr. Teague said last night at our banquet. It's a 2-day seminar for school administrators and other community leaders to find out what is community education, how can we fund it, because we're going to be having state funding this year for community education, and it's to open those schools to meet the needs of the community, since those buildings are there and available in that community, and every community has a public school.
Okay, now are we talking about a turning away from just basically the academic normal day in the school to programs that meet the needs of elderly, young people, and people who want to go to school at night? Is this what we're talking about?
We're talking about that as well. We know that the school is there for the K through 12 program, but community education also involves the K through 12 program. This year we were able to help with immunizations of young people through our community education program by making those parents aware that their children needed to have the shots, polio vaccine, these kinds of things. So community education does encompass after-school activities, evening activities, using those gymnasiums instead of building other clubs or recreation centers, but putting full use to those libraries in those schools rather than building other libraries, utilizing the school library, utilizing the school gym.
More than 800 players are in Andalusia for the World Championship of Dominoes. Most are local players, but several states and countries are represented. One player in this year's tournament comes from Hong Kong. Although most are in the tournament just for fun, many are very serious about the World Championship. Like Robert Newsom of Kansas City, Newsom and his brothers have come to Andalusia to prove they're the best group of doubles players in the sport of dominoes.
We came from down here just to play dominoes. And the reason we came, we think we are the best in the Midwest, so we came down south and see into this World Championship Domino Tournament and see how good that we really are. I'm 41, and my mother taught me how to play when I was 3 years old. I've been playing dominoes for 38 years.
Feel that you're stronger in doubles than singles?
Oh yes, doubles are our game now. Tomorrow we think we're gonna do well in doubles. We have 3 teams. The 6 brothers are playing, and we play regular together. We have basically the same team that we have at home, but I think we're real good at doubles.
But most players are after the singles championship. Dr. Robert Wilson, a native Montgomeryan who now lives in Shawnee, Oklahoma, is not a serious contender for that singles championship, but Wilson will play the tournament's top celebrity, Alabama football coach Paul Bear Bryant. Wilson donated $1,100 to charity for the right to play Bryant, and he has no regrets. What'd your wife say when you spent the money for a dominoes partner?
Well, my wife knows how important Alabama football is.
You're in Oklahoma country right now. You still follow the Tide pretty much?
Oh, sure. I sure do. I'm not an Oklahoma fan at all.
Did you come here just for the dominoes tournament?
I came down to Andalusia just for the domino tournament, that's right. And my family passed. I took them down through Florida, but I'm here just for the dominoes and to play Coach Bryant.
The celebrity match and the doubles competition begins tomorrow. Play will continue through Sunday if needed. Dan O'Brien, WSFA TV Sports. More than 800 players are in Andalusia for the World Championship of Dominoes. Most are local players, but several states and countries are represented. One player in this year's tournament comes from Hong Kong. Although most are in the tournament just for fun, many are very serious about the World Championship. Like Robert Newsom of Kansas City, Newsom and his brothers have come to Andalusia to prove they're the best group of doubles players in the sport of dominoes.
We came down here just to play dominoes. And the reason we came, we think we are the best in the Midwest, so we came down south and see into this World Championship Domino Tournament and see how good that we really are. I'm 41, and my mother taught me how to play when I was 3 years old. I've been playing dominoes for 38 years.
Feel that you're stronger in doubles than singles?
Oh yes, doubles are our game now. Tomorrow we think we're gonna do well in doubles. We have 3 teams. The 6 brothers are playing, and we play regularly together. We have basically the same team that we have at home, but I think we're real good in doubles.
But most players are after the singles championship. Dr. Robert Wilson, a native Montgomeryan who now lives in Shawnee, Oklahoma, is not a serious contender for that singles championship, but Wilson will play the tournament's top celebrity, Alabama football coach Paul Bear Bryant. Wilson donated $1,100 to charity for the right to play Bryant, and he has no regrets. What'd your wife say when you spent the money for a dominoes partner?
Well, my wife knows how important Alabama football is.
You're in Oklahoma country right now. You still follow the Tide pretty much?
Oh, sure. I sure do. I'm not an Oklahoma fan at all.
Did you come here just for the dominoes tournament?
I came down to Andalusia just for the domino tournament, that's right. And my family passed, I took them down through Florida, but I'm here just for the dominoes and to play Coach Bryant.
The celebrity match and the doubles competition begins tomorrow. Play will continue through Sunday if needed. Dan O'Brien, WSFA TV Sports.
The 46-year-old Locke quit today amidst a storm of reports that Corrections Board members wanted to fire him because of their dissatisfaction with Locke's job performance. But the commissioner blamed federal court decisions and low state funds for his actions.
It has become increasingly clear to me that I cannot comply with the conflicting court orders I receive almost daily. I am sympathetic with the conditions of our overcrowded county and city jails. Yet I am prohibited from increasing our president's institution's population. As you know, I have honestly tried to obey all court orders. However, as our compliance report recently submitted to the local federal court states, this has not been possible with the inadequate funding we have received.
Sources close to the situation say Locke's handling of new prison site selections and a disastrous fund request incident was responsible for the board's talk of firing him. Corrections Board Chairman and Co-Chairman Buddy Hamner and Louis Wilkerson had bittersweet comments about the man who served 3 years as State Prison Commissioner.
There were no plans to fire Commissioner Locke. As I understand it, there were some discussions last week between Commissioner Locke, various board members. Commissioner Locke, I think, expressed a desire to return to merit system status. It's a pretty tough job, and he's had it for a pretty good while.
Is it a fact that the commissioner gave the board the wrong information on how much money was needed and you had to go back and ask for $800,000 more?
Well, I was a little misled. I asked for $3.2 million. We received it. I found out that we were running a little short.
Who told you that you only needed $3.2 million?
Commissioner.
Did he explain to you why he...
I asked him, could we live with $3.2 million? He said yes.
And then what happened?
I don't know.
A couple of months later you needed...
Well, we need more money.
I'm not saying anything else. That's it. It's embodied in the statement that I have printed and given to the press.
But we've been told that you were going to be fired. That's why you resigned.
I'm not commenting one way or the other.
It is still not clear as to whether or not Judson Locke resigned under pressure or if he took the action on his own. However, one board member said many board members didn't know that Locke was going to resign until he handed in his resignation this afternoon. And then one man said he probably received a midnight visit from some disgruntled board members about his past performance. But so far, no one has ever been able to tell us exactly what happened, but it is a fact that Judson Locke has resigned and Bennett is the new man. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News at the Stanton Correctional Institute, Elmore County, Alabama. to do one last take.
I was informed this morning by the governor's office that he will include this coming special session of the legislature, and that no one in the state of Alabama will be cut from the Pension and Security Department, including individuals who are old, the old people, the blind, the crippled, welfare, and aid to dependent children. I was informed that the governor is drawing up another bill. Of course, as you know, I'm drawing up a bill which will appropriate the money to the Pension and Security Department. And the governor is drawing up a bill also. I was asked this morning, to handle the governor's bill, and of course I will do that. It doesn't bother me who bill it is, as long as these individuals are not cut from the Pension and Security Department. Of course, I'm appreciative toward the governor in taking this step and this attitude, and I was informed by Commissioner Burns, who is the Director of Pension and Security in the state of Alabama, that no one in the state of Alabama will be cut. They're sending out telegrams as of today informing those who had gotten letters earlier that they will be cut, is that informing them to disregard that letter, and no one in the state of Alabama will be cut from the Pension and Security Department. Of course, I didn't file a challenge, it's filed by someone else. As every citizen has a right to challenge the residency of any person. I don't know anything about it. Of course, the only thing I know, he lives out in Woodcrest, and I'm sure the attorneys who are handling the case will, present the necessary documents before the State Democratic Executive Committee.
There is no confusion. I know the way home every night. What's
Where
the
is
problem?
home?
3328 Boone Street.
You live there all the time?
Pardon?
You live there all the time?
I have for the last year, since last August.
What about the Woodcrest address?
I own a house in Woodcrest, yes. My daughter lives there.
You consider your Boone Street address as your permanent residence?
That is it. That's where my voter registration is. That's where my driver's license and all other kind of registration is.
We understand that you also have a Capitol Towers address. Is that correct?
Nope. I once did. I don't anymore.
So
that's been over 2 or 3 years.
So you contend that you are registered and you permanently reside in District 80?
Absolutely. I wouldn't register. I wouldn't qualify to run in the district for that house seat if I didn't. And anybody who wants to check it, fine. If anybody got a challenge and it stands up, more power to them.
This is Dave Rickey, WSFA TV News reporting.
The cost of living has soared dramatically in the past few years, but the prices of color TV sets have actually declined 43% since production first began. If color TV prices had kept pace with the Consumer Price Index, the average retail price of a color set today would be about $1,300. That's approximately $725 higher than it is now. The public is actually getting a better product these days at less money.
When television first came into the Montgomery area and I was here, we had a 21-inch round tube, artificial wood box that sold for $995 retail. Today, you can get a good-looking 25-inch, beautiful reproduced color picture on an all-wood, beautifully styled furniture for approximately $549. Now, this is a better looking product, a larger product. It gives a better picture, more enjoyment, much better service. The government estimates that prior to the present product that we have, we had tube products that would last approximately 7 years. The solid-state devices we use today will last approximately 12 years. And during that 12 years, with a whole lot less service involved, a lot more enjoyment, and you'll get a much more beautiful picture, better colors. So you've got nicer furniture, larger cabinet, larger picture, better picture, more enjoyable picture for about half as much money. And I don't know of anything else in this age of inflation that reflects the same thing.
Space-age technology has played a part in lowering the price of television sets. Tax money has been used for research in breaking through new frontiers, and the advantages of new discoveries have filtered down into new ideas and new materials for domestic products, such as TV sets. Since 1954, television manufacturers have had to contend with sharply higher costs of raw materials and labor, as well as the expense of adding new innovative features. In spite of this, however, the fact that so many TV sets are being produced is holding the line on prices. More people are buying sets. Whereas most families used to have one set, it's not unusual to see 2 and sometimes 3 sets in a household. Improved production techniques, new materials, and of course, the severe competition have all had a hand in keeping down prices.
I believe that the foreign market, or offshore market as it's referred to in the trade, usually thought of as Japan, but not necessarily Japan. It can be many of the Orient countries and some non-Orient countries. They first started off with less labor cost, and they were able to produce a good television set that sold for a great deal less money than that in the United States. They have constantly improved their product. They have electronic know-how, and they have created a situation whereby the United States manufacturers have had to come up with a better product for less money to be competitive, to stay in the business. Of course, the biggest breakthrough was the solid state as opposed to the vacuum tube. And since then, I think perhaps the picture tube itself has been improved the most. You get prettier reds, smoother greens, and more natural blues. You just get a better color picture. The blue skies are bluer and the green grass is greener. And it stays that way as it should. But you do get a much sharper picture because of a much better picture tube. And there's been a battle within the television industry to constantly produce a better picture tube. More light, giving a better picture to the natural eye. Of course, there have been many new convenience features, such as the recent RCA that I sell, is the push-button tuning. No longer do you have to tune a television like opening a safe at midnight. You can just casually punch 1, 2, if you will, and you get 12. And you get a beautiful picture. No fine tuning. That gadget has been taken off. No knobs to break or get lost. And the colors remain constant and true. No bleeding through of the black and white. Just better picture all the way through.
Well, does this mean that better materials are being used, but they're costing less? To put that television
newly
set together?
devised materials, yes. Newly devised materials. The space age. Government spending with the taxpayers' money, if you will, in most cases, if not all. New electronic devices have been designed. They have proven successful, and then they have been put into the home entertainment products, such as the television set, which is really a break for the people back home. They're finally getting something for their money, maybe.
In addition to being superior to the color TV sets of 10 to 20 years ago, today's models consume about 2/3 less energy. One company, for example, has a 13-inch set that uses less electricity than a 75-watt light bulb. Generally, a 25-inch color set uses 108 watts compared to 325 a couple of years ago. And a 19-inch set uses 69 watts as opposed to 235. Over a period of years, that can make quite a difference. According to an RCA vice president, there are approximately 130 million TV sets in American homes, and that's more than the number of automobiles, bathtubs, washing machines, or refrigerators in use today. A better product at a lower cost has accounted for the tremendous growth of television over the past 30 years.
We picked up a subject we'd been seeking to question about his behavior around the parking lot at Jackson's Hospital.
How did you find him?
We contacted his home after we got a name, got an identity on him, and his parents contacted him and he called us.
And what has happened through the course of today's investigation?
After extensive questioning and finding out why he was at Jackson's, and we could come to no sound basis to tie him in any way with missing Mrs. Gilmore.
Was a polygraph test used?
Yes.
And he will be released?
He's in the process of being released now.
Is it possible that there were two people fitting this description that you have from people that were in the area at the time of the disappearance?
Certainly, there could be this possibility.
Is that the direction you're more or less heading now?
Yes, we're going back to basics, and that's all we can do at this time. We still solicit any information that from any citizen or any way we can get it. We solicit this help.
Let's get our dog uniform away from the left side and the right.
Calendar, city map.
What it amounts to is this enables the police here in Montgomery to give people passing through the area tourist information. If you're passing through an area, who's the most logical person to stop to ask directions to or from a place? A police officer. So now we have the bumper stickers on the car so people will know that they can stop a police officer here in the city and say, hey, what is there to do? What is there to see? Now, of course, the police officers have been provided with tourist information packets for the police cars. So this was done on a trial basis last month, and we've already given out more than 200 tourist information packets. As near as we can find out, we're the only city in Alabama doing this, and probably the only city in the Southeast doing this.
What all is in the packet?
We have riverboat brochures, we have the